All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the CTE Moodle Transition to Canvas webinar, a sneak peek into what is to come. So a part of our state superintendent's strategic plan, his ultimate goal is by 2030 for North Carolina to have the best public school system in the nation. And we're achieving educational excellence. There are 8 pillars that have been identified as the plan to get there. Today's presentation is going to focus on 3 of those pillars. We're going to look at pillar 1, which is preparing each student for their next phase in life. And you as teachers will assist us with that. And as we transition into the Canvas platform, it's going to make finding resources easier for you to help those students get that educational excellence for their next phase of life. Pillar 5 is optimize operational excellence. We're going to be talking about why we're transitioning from Moodle to Canvas. And really it's to help streamline some things and really get us to focus on the pathways that we're teaching and make a one-stop shop for all of the things that you need. And then pillar 6 is leading that transformative change. Change is not always an easy thing, but we do feel that it's very important to continue to look at how we operate and make sure that we're meeting the needs of our staff in the field. So very excited to be supporting the strategic plan of our superintendent. So the objectives. Again, many of you may be wondering, well, why are we making this change? So I know we've used Moodle for a long time, and a lot of us do use a platform like Canvas. Most of us are familiar with that. It's easy to operate, it's easy to access. We'll talk about how you access that momentarily. It'll also provide you with the information that's relevant to your pathways. The structure of Moodle currently is our program areas. We're shifting more to a pathway structure. And I think that this is going to provide you just the information that you need for those pathways that you're teaching. It also will reduce the redundancy in posts that you receive from CTE staff. A lot of times, if you're in multiple Moodles, because your pathways may cross multiple program areas, you may receive the same notification that's been posted by those DPI staff members. So we're trying to streamline those to limit the amount of redundancy in posts that you receive. Today, we're excited to debut and preview what we're calling the CTE Hub and the CTE Resource Center. So very excited about this opportunity, and our goal is to help you prepare for this change. So the timeline. Today is May the 15th. We're doing this webinar to give you a preview of what this is going to look like and kind of help you prepare for this transition. Starting July the 1st, we will start to enroll teachers, CTE staff members into the CTE Hub and the CTE Resource Center. That's not going to be an instantaneous process, so it may take us a little while to get everyone in, but we have a plan to do that. We'll hold another webinar toward the middle to end of August. Just to help anybody that might be having some trouble or answer any additional questions that you may have, and to really take another good look at the new CTE Hub and Resource Center. A big important date, August the 31st, that is the last day that access to the current Moodle will be available. So between now and then, if there are files that you want to download, things that you want, that sort of thing, you may want to go ahead and start to get those as you're winding up the school year, because access to that Moodle will be terminated on August the 31st. So what can you expect with this new CTE Resource Center? You're going to see consistency between pathways. So you'll note that when you go from one pathway to another, the structure pretty much looks the same. So if you teach 2 different pathways, It's not going to look one way on one pathway page and then another way. It's going to be very similar. Again, we're going to reduce the redundancy in posts. It's going to be a lot easier to access your course information, your curriculum guide, your course standards, as well as be able to find that ever important credential information. So we'll be able to look at that. And lastly, you're only going to find current accessible files. So anything that's going on the new CTE Resource Center will be current and will be accessible. So meeting those accessibility requirements is very important to us. And we want to make sure that you've got access to all of the files in the format that they need to be in. So where is this new hub and how do we get there? So most of you are very familiar with the NC Ed Cloud. So you will log in to the NC Ed Cloud and you will click on Canvas-NCDPI. So you'll see this symbol and it will be a blue color. Your current Canvas I think that those are red, okay, for your local district. So you're looking for the Canvas-NCDPI. So once you've been added to the CTE Hub, you're going to click on the tile that says CTE Hub. So all users are required to read, review, and sign, or basically state that they understand the acceptable use policies. So that's, making sure that only teachers have access, students do not have access, how to use and what not to use the documents for. So we do have an acceptable use policies that you do have to agree to. So that is step one. So once you are added to the CTE Hub, you should get an email or when you log in and click on this NCDPI Canvas, you may see something across the top of your screen that says accept into the course. Then you're going to do the acceptable use agreement. And then we will assign you to the pathways. So this is what the home page looks like. And we're going to take a live tour in just a few minutes. But once you get to the CTE Hub, okay, you will see at kind of toward the middle of the page, it says before you begin, acceptable use policy. So you're actually going to click this button that says review and sign. If you're familiar with Canvas, it's a quiz. Okay, there is a right answer, but you're going to acknowledge that you have read the acceptable use policy and agree to that. If you're not familiar with Canvas and you would like to learn more about how to navigate Canvas and that sort of thing, we do have some video tutorials for you that you can access on that CTE Hub. Note that the Hub will also hold information just general information as well as links to the CTE Resource Center, the Regional and Support Services CTE Resource Center, as well as professional development. This is going to allow posts to be made to all CTE staff across the state. So I know I see some directors and CIMCs on the call. I know you guys are probably subscribed to a lot of the Moodles. And so if we post something as DPI staff, you may get it multiple times in your inbox. However, this will eliminate the redundancy in that, but ensure that everyone gets the same message. So you may be asking, well, how do I get access to the Resource Center? So after reviewing and signing that acceptable use policy, users will be added to the Resource Center. Please note that your access to pathways will be assigned based on the courses that you have, that students are enrolled in for 26-27 for you to teach. So we will take the CTE enrollment file, we will align that to pathways, and you will be automatically enrolled in those modules or those pathways in Canvas that align with the courses that you're teaching. If you need access to additional pathways, we do have a form to be submitted and completed, and I will show you where that's at, or if you need pathways removed from your access because you're no longer teaching those courses. Please note that if you're a PPOC, you will be added to the CTE pathways based on the courses offered in your PSU from that enrollment file. Again, if there are other staff in the district that need access to multiple pathways, we do have a form that will be completed to get them the access to the pathways that they need. So this is a preview of what the CTE Resource Center looks like. Okay, please note that across the top, there's a link to go back to the CTE Hub. There's also a link to the Regional and Support Services Center, as well as a support ticket. This support ticket is for you to fill out anytime you find something, a link is broken, something's not working right with the page, you're having some technical difficulties, or things just don't seem to be going right with the site. You're going to submit that support ticket so that we can troubleshoot what's happening and make sure we get anything fixed that needs to be fixed. So on the main center homepage, you're going to see a link to the acceptable use policy. Again, that's just an opportunity. If you forgot what it said, you can go and look at that again. You'll also see a link to the CTE acronym finder. I know if you are new to CTE land, we speak a completely different language when it comes to acronyms. And a lot of times it's hard to disseminate what those are, or you ask somebody and they may not even know, or sometimes you don't want to ask somebody. We have developed a CTE acronym finder where you type in the name of the acronym and it will spit out for you what it means. So there is a link to that. So you will not find that on individual pathway pages. It's on the main hub or the CTE Resource Center. If you have items, CTE item banks in SchoolNet, and you find a problem with a question, you're going to complete the form that is linked right here. Okay, that allows us to take a look at that on the backside, and if there's an issue with that question, we can get that resolved a whole lot faster by completing or clicking this link and submitting that through the item bank issue log. Additionally, we have NCCTE links. Okay, so links to the CMS, links to NCCTE admin, links to the DPI website, so you can click and find those. As I mentioned earlier, if you're needing access, either added or removed to additional pathways, that request form is linked here. And of course, we have our social media links that you'll be able to access. So when we look at the bottom part of the home page, I've done a short screenshot. This is not the entire home page, but note that the way that it's organized is in CTE cluster groupings. Then we go down into CTE clusters, then pathways. So you can see I have building and moving, and we have the advanced manufacturing cluster, construction cluster. And then we move on over to caring for communities. We have education, healthcare and human services, public service and safety. So that's the organization of what this looks like. If you're struggling to find your pathway name, you can always just do a Control F and then type in the name of the pathway and it will show you where that's at on the page. Please note that if you teach a course that only aligns as a supplemental employability or a supplemental technical course, and it does not align with a pathway as a foundational prerequisite, or concentrator course, you will find that in the supplemental courses area. Middle grades courses have their own module page as well as work-based learning. So all teachers will have access to the work-based learning courses and information, just so that you can see what that is, especially if you're integrating work-based learning into your classes. All right, so once you get to the pathway page itself, okay, you're going to see the name of the career cluster, the name of the pathway. There'll be some sort of graphic or image, but I want to draw your attention to the links across the top. So if you want to get back to the main homepage where the clusters are, so the CTE Resource Center homepage, you're going to click the link called Clusters Homepage. If you want to find out who the contacts are, so which consultant, educational consultant, is managing that particular pathway, the pathway teacher lead, you need to contact them, or the CTSO advisor for the state, you're going to click on Contacts. Collaborations is the new name for the discussion forum. We're going to talk about what that looks like and how discussion forums work in Canvas. It's a little bit different than it was with Moodle. Okay, but when we say collaborations, that's where we want you as CTE staff to collaborate with one another. So pose questions, share resources. There's also the support ticket. Again, if you find a broken link on the page or something's not operating the way that it's supposed to, you just complete that support ticket. Each pathway page will also have a pathway description. Feel free to utilize that in your own recruiting materials, in your classes, and in your schools. And so with that, note other things on that pathway page. You're going to see NCDPI announcements. So you may not get notifications about these. However, it allows your educational consultant to post things that might be pertinent specifically for your pathway. You're going to see course materials, which is going to include that course information, CTE standards, your course standards, your curriculum guide is going to be found there, as well as credential information. You'll also see specific pathway resources. So if there is a supplemental technical course that is aligned to that pathway, you'll be able to access it through the pathway page. New teacher resources. So we'll talk about the new teacher induction program as well as the CTE New Teacher Institute. You'll see some information about professional development and other organizations, as well as information that may be unique to a specific pathway. So I've given you a little bit of a tease of what this may look like, but let's take a real tour to see what this is going to be. Okay, so when you get access to this course, you're going to see two different tiles. You'll see the CTE Hub and the CTE Resource Center. The Hub will be there first because remember, you have to sign the acceptable use agreement and then you will get added. Please note that that is not a simultaneous process. We will have to bulk upload our enrollments into the courses. So it may take 3 to 5 business days to get you added into the Resource Center. But once you're there, you're there. So the CTE Hub, again, looks like this. All right. Before you begin, okay, you'll have the review and the sign. So you'll click on the review and sign. Okay, so there is the acceptable use policy and all the things. Okay, because I have already reviewed and signed the acceptable use policy, it's going to show me my results. Okay, so it says to enter your name. So, and it looks like when I did this as my test student, I did it as test. Okay, so I have completed that. And I am going to click on return. That lets you know that you've completed. If you're interested in video tutorials, you can find those here. Okay, so it will help take you through both the video and written instructions for notifications, announcements, discussions, so on and so forth. Okay. All right, these links are not currently live, but when the hub goes live, you will be able to click this link that says visit this center to get to this NCCTE Resource Center, which is here. Okay, as I mentioned, there are links to go to the CTE Hub, Regional and Support Services, as well as the support ticket. Okay, you also have, again, these links that I've already talked through. All All right, so we have our career clusters and pathways. Again, they are sorted by career cluster grouping, which are the colorful. So building and moving, caring for communities, connecting and supporting success. Within those, you will see the specific clusters, and then under those, you will see the linked pathways. Okay. And for some reason, my graphics did not load. Okay, but again, you can see the supplemental courses. Middle grades are also differentiated by career cluster so that they're easy to navigate to the courses that align with those particular clusters. So let's take a look at what a pathway looks like. And it says that I am not authorized, but I am authorized. Hold that thought. Okay, I had to think for a moment. Let me view as a student. All right. So under NCDPI announcements, anything that's important for that particular pathway, your education consultant will put that in this box. It may be updated. When they make that change, they can notify participants that it has been updated. So when you go scroll down, you will find course materials. So the first course in this pathway is FC 13, Counseling and Mental Health 1. When you click the accordion, you will then see course information, standards, and curriculum guide. So the course information is a link to the course management system that will take you directly to that course. So you can see the course description, you can see the lead consultant, you can find out the status, the type of course, the proof of learning, as well as pathway levels, and any aligned credentials or SOC codes. Okay. For the standards, it's very similar, not just to take you to the CMS, but it's going to take you to the page in the CMS with the standards. So we're really excited about having that for you. And then the curriculum guide will be a document that you can open. Maybe. Okay, it may take it a moment, but it should load within the screen and then give you an option of whether you want to download it or just view it in the screen. I know with the Moodle, in order to see what was in a document, you had to always like download it and to see it, but this will allow you to preview it. Okay, so very similar with level 2. So you have the standards taking you to the course management system specific for that course. It does open the windows in a new tab. You have the curriculum guide. Okay, so it does have it here so that you can download that. It also has the link to the credential, okay, which will take you to the credential information. Okay. Additional pathway resources. So for this particular course, there are resources in the CCFCS, which is the Curriculum Center for Family and Consumer Sciences. So instructions are found by clicking the link. There's also a link to work-based learning. So if you need to see course information or the work-based learning resource manual, they are both linked there. Any middle grades courses that align to this course, okay, this will take you to that part or that pathway. And same for supplemental employability courses and supplemental technical courses. Okay. New teacher resources, information about the New Teacher Institute is listed, as well as the new teacher induction. Pathway professional development and organizations are found in the tabs along the bottom. So office hours or PLC information for school year 26-27 is coming soon. So once that is determined for this pathway, that information as well as any link to join those meetings will be listed here. If you're looking for CTSO information, you will find that on the CTSO tab. So that will take you to National FCCLA as well as North Carolina FCCLA. Okay, so education, if you're looking to further your education, here are the universities that offer family and consumer sciences or information regarding counseling and mental health courses. We've listed out the professional organizations that align with the pathway, and any specific professional development information will be listed here as well. If there's a registration link, it will be listed, or any specific dates. At the bottom of the pathway page, you will find specific information that might be unique to this pathway. So youth mental health first aid is unique to the counseling and mental health pathway. So the information about that is listed in the documents that are provided. All right, so we'll scroll back up to the top. So let's take a look at the contacts. Okay, so you're able to see who your state education consultant is. So Gwen Turner, it has her title as well as her email address. So if you're trying to find the consultant's information, it's very easy to click here and email them. The pathway teacher lead is in progress for 26-27. So once that information is here, you'll have the email address for the pathway teacher lead as well as a picture and their name. The CTSO advisor information will be here. If there's more than one aligned CTSO with a particular pathway, you will see multiple CTSO advisors for the aligned organizations. So it's really easy to access that contact information for that particular pathway. Please note when you're on a different page from the Pathway homepage, there is a link to go back to the Pathway homepage so that you don't have to keep going back to the Resource Center homepage to reduce the amount of clicking that you have to do. Collaborations, again, this is that discussion forum. So the way that discussion forums work in Canvas for our CTE Resource Center is there is already a post there. So if you would like to reply or if you would like to post something, you're going to click reply to the main post. So when you do that, it's going to ask you to write your reply and then you're going to click reply. So I'm just going to write hello. Okay. So if I wanted to respond to this particular post, I am going to click reply to this post. Again, to start a new post, you're going to click the reply that's in blue. Okay, to respond to a post, you're going to click the little reply under the post. Okay. Please note that you will not receive notifications if you are not subscribed to the post. And we'll go through this in some slides, but you have to click this button here and it will turn green, and that's how you will know that you are subscribed. To unsubscribe, you click the unsubscribe and it turns back white. Okay. All right, so that's how the collaborations work. Again, you can go back to the home page, you can go back to contacts, or you can go back to the clusters homepage. Okay. So every pathway page will look very similar to what you've seen in this preview. And we will go through a few additional things related to what else do I need to know. Okay, so as a teacher or a participant in this particular course, you have to set up your own notifications. Okay, you have to set them to make sure that you receive announcements as well as discussion posts. Again, we just talked through making the discussion post, but you reply to the main topic for a new topic, or you just click the little reply to the post. Canvas notification settings. They have to be set, and you have to have a confirmed email address. Okay, so it's not an automatic. With Moodle, a lot of times it was just automatic. You were automatically enrolled. With Canvas, you have to ensure that your email is confirmed and that you set those notifications. Please note that account level notifications apply to all courses. Okay. However, you can go into an individual course and change the notifications. And that overrides the account piece for that course. So you may not want certain notifications in general, but you do want them for the CTE Resource Center. Please note that if you select daily notifications, they will be delivered to your inbox around 6 p.m. And if you select weekly notifications, they are delivered Saturday between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And that's just important to know, just in case, if you choose weekly, it will be Saturday before you learn about anything that was posted that week. So to confirm your email address, you're going to navigate to Accounts, click on Settings, and then Ways to Contact at the top right. Okay, so you can see in the screenshot, you click the Account button, you have Settings, and then Ways to Contact. If you have this little warning sign, it means that your email address is not confirmed. Okay, so you need to follow the instructions in the pop-up window to confirm your email address. And you may have to have it resend it to you in order to do that. And then you're going to check the email and click confirmation link at the bottom. So just make sure that you look at your email. There's a link you have to push in order for it to basically make sure that the email you entered is an email that you check, that it's yours. And that's why confirming your email is important, because without that, you will not receive notifications. Okay, I mentioned about account level settings. So again, if you're in that account and you click on notifications, you see the settings for account is selected. So you can go down through everything that's listed. So it's course activities, it's announcements. Note that your email address is listed here. If you see the bell and it's clear with a line through it, that means notifications are turned off for that for your account. Okay. Notice that a green bell means notify immediately. If you have a calendar that looks like a day in it, those are daily, a daily summary. And then we mentioned the weekly, and it's got more of the calendar with the boxes. Okay, so you can take a look at your notifications. You can also change this account to pick a specific course if you would like to update those notifications directly on this screen, or you can actually navigate to the course homepage, and over on the left-hand side or right-hand side, excuse me, you'll see the view course notifications. You will click that button and then you can enable the notifications for that particular course. Okay, so a couple of different ways to take a look at the notifications. It's very important that they are set to what you want them to be so that you don't miss anything related to communications from DPI or your fellow colleagues. Okay, again, announcements. Okay, so you'll have access to announcements. You do have to subscribe to the announcement to receive notifications to it. You can reply to those announcements with questions or to share additional information if they are set up that way. Otherwise, you will not receive those notifications. So be sure to turn that green flag on if you want to be notified about specific announcements. Again, Discussion forums, we've already talked through this. We're going to click on that collaborations. Okay, again, I've showed you how to subscribe to that discussion forum, and you have to do this on each of those pathway discussions so that you don't miss any of the collaborations. Okay, and these are just instructions for that as we've already gone through. All right, so what's next? Again, in early July, we'll start adding users to the hub. You have to submit or sign that acceptable use policy in order to be added to the Resource Center. Once a user is added, you need to make sure that you get your notification preferences updated and subscribe to the announcements as well as the pathway discussions. Please note that at summer conference in the opening sessions, you will hear from your education consultants, okay, talking about the pathway pages for their specific pathways. We will have another webinar in August, and then please note again that Moodle access, the last day to access Moodle will be August the 31st. Right. I appreciate your patience as we navigate these uncharted territory because I mean, this is new for us. We will need your patience in this transition and appreciate any questions that you have. Any feedback that you can provide for us is definitely appreciated as well. We want this to be a user-friendly experience for everyone. All right, I am going to stop the recording.